So, but just go back to kind of what we were saying. It was like I had Liam Griffin on from
Oh yeah.
SBG Cork a couple of about 2 weeks ago, and he kind of described the difference maybe from the IMAAF experience to the Saturday Night Show is more so nearly like the IMAAF is amateur, and then it's nearly semi-pro, the Saturday Night Show. Would you kind of maybe feel something similar?
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, I completely agree with that. Like it is semi-pro. I mean, what are the differences then? There's no elbows. I mean, now I know it's different now, like the shin pads and all, but like back then, the only difference is no elbows, but the rounds were shorter and smaller gloves, I guess. No knees to the head, maybe, but like completely, yeah. It's like it should be called semi-pro, like, and you're
Yeah.
not getting paid, like so.
Yeah, but
Um,
they made the point then that you're still kind of been asked to sell tickets for some of these promotions because for them to work, they still need to make some money.
yeah, exactly. Like I remember, I won't say who. Remember for a fight, a promoter contacted me and being like, I was looking for a fight, and the promoter was like, if you promise to sell this many tickets, I'll give you a fight. And like, I told John in the end, and John basically sent was like, I'll do this, and send him a message, your man a message, and be like, don't ever talk to my fighters like that. But like that just shows like how they're kind of like, I guess, kind of being used in a way, like amateur fighters are being used in a way.
I suppose they're playing on the
We're
whole.
using the promotion.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I think they're kind of maybe playing on the fact that they know this guy needs experience, and that's, so they're
Yeah,
banking on that.
exactly. Yeah, and
Uh,
they're doing we need them as well. I guess we need them. So
yeah. So what kind of prompted you to turn pro then? What why then?
I felt like coming off the loss at the IMAAFs, and I think that was a big learning, a big like point of learning, or maybe a big change in my mindset. I probably couldn't put my finger on what it was, but I think some fights, I think some fight, like some wins, some losses, like you don't necessarily learn a huge amount. Some wins and some losses you learn a huge amount from, and that tournament, my fight and my loss at the IMAS, just like it was like a big kind of reevaluation of everything. And then I went into that fight I got in Liverpool 10 days later, and I just felt like I'd taken all the lessons from my last few fights, and especially the loss of the IMAFs, and just instantly kind of rectified what problems I was having, and I just felt really good. Like, and I guess the fact that I got a stoppage, I was really confident coming off it, and I had a lot of hype after that stoppage and stuff. And it was November so that was in, I guess, November, that fight, and then I had agreed to fight on Brave Europe in June the following year, so several months later. And then I think like the day before I signed the contract for my Brave fight, this was fight week of Obama Dublin, and on the Tuesday I'd heard through John that Jean Anderson's opponent had pulled out, who was actually Akon Wanless. Akon was meant to be fighting Jean Anderson, and Akon pulled out with an injury. And then I heard that the fight was available, and I said to John, I take it. So my pro debut would have been Brave in 5 weeks, but then I was just like really for some reason wanted to take this fight, and I took that fight on the Tuesday of fight week. So I signed the contract for Obama, and then the next day I signed the contract for the Brave fight, and did the Bama fight. And it all kind of came together. To be honest, it was my favorite performance to date, definitely.
Yeah. Which Bama card? What was that? Was it the one in Dublin?
Um,
You said it would have been?
It was in
Uh,
Dublin, so I'm trying to think who else fought. Like, to be honest, I can't even remember who the main event was. Like, it was the 12th of May
yeah, I think it
in.
was Kiefer on the co-main of that one.
I don't remember, but I'd say he would have been. Yeah, I don't remember, but I'd imagine he would have been being a Batman in Dublin. Like, it would have been the likes of Kiefer and James. And
I'm pretty sure I was at that. I'm pretty sure I was at that one.
mm.
Would have been, yeah. I think Keith. That's where Kiefer got the big cut over his eye. I think would have been the one with it.
When he fought the British lad, was it?
I think so. Yeah, that would have been the same card, wouldn't it?
That might have been it.
Yeah, that was a.
But you know what? I can't remember. A bit between Bellators and Bamas and fighting on them and not fighting. I've been to so many fights there now. Like,
Yeah. Do
oh,
you feel?
kind of.
Do you feel you're kind of lucky to have those many kind of cards in the big arena, like in the 3 arena?
Definitely, yeah, definitely, and to be able to, I suppose, a lot of the times to be able to kind of flow in as a team member as well is good, like, and participate. Like, I fought there twice now, which is really nice. Like,
And how have you found? Like, I know you said you were maybe, I suppose, a bit late. A lot of your stoppage wins have been by submission. Um, is that more a side of your game that you kind of prefer or rely on more so than maybe the stand up and knocking guys out with one punch?
um, I guess it kind of came to me easier. Um, I don't know why the grappling came to me easier. I don't know if it's just to me, but striking seems like more of a pedigree that's like years in the making. Those reflexes and like reactions and like milliseconds, where grappling's kind of, I don't know. I guess it kind of, I more kind of got it early on. Um, but striking is definitely something that I've worked on a lot more since, definitely since my last two losses, and even before them I was just kind of putting it together. But definitely since my last fight, I've patched things up big time. Like, I'm still, obviously it's still a work in progress, but like, um, I've been training down in Phibsborough in Dublin Combat Academy with Collie Mahan. People might know Collie, or they might know of Craig Coakley, who's
Yeah.
would be regarded as like the top Thai boxer of Ireland at the moment, like one of the best in Europe for sure. And yeah, really enjoying training down there for my Thai boxing, and feel like I've come on like a long way since then. So I'm hoping I'll be able to incorporate that more into my game. And the other thing is, it might have been a silver lining. I injured my knee before my Bellator debut, before I fought Chris Duncan, and kind of forced me to essentially not do any grappling. So for a year, that happened in January. I fought Chris in February. That happened in January of last year, obviously, and for the year, I essentially wasn't grappling. So it's only really very end of last year, like the very end of December, that I started testing it grappling again. So I'm kind of back to grappling and striking now, but I had a year of just kind of focusing on striking. Maybe, like I said, maybe it was a blessing in disguise that I was forced to just put grappling to the side for a bit and focus on striking.
Yeah. And like, how did you find going into your pro debut with a guy who was, I suppose, at the time would had a lot more experience than you had? Because I think he was, it was a 2-3 or 3-2. He had, I think, 5 fights, and you were stepping in there first fight. Was that kind of on your mind, stepping in against that guy?
Kind of. I think what was more in my mind was that, like, from my amateur kickboxing, my short amateur kickboxing career, I fought on one show Chris Boyne ran. It was called Future Talents, I think. It was like, yeah, it was Future Talents. And when I was still fighting amateur, I was fairly low down on the cards, like on the amateur cards even. And G. Anderson was headlining he was the pro main event, and like he knocked it in this particular fight. I think he knocked the chap out with a scissor knee kind of thing, like. And back then, like, and I was like, oh, like that, it's like really flashy strike, and like that's a real high level striker. And then that was kind of more playing on my mind, but certainly was very confident. Like, his MMA record didn't necessarily bother me, because I don't think I really rated the opponents he'd had. I felt as an MMA fighter, I was better than any of the opponents he'd had, and like in my mind, I was better than him. In it when it came to MMA, so
Yeah, like that was a dominant performance. I gave it a watch back, and you kind of you fairly dominated him when it came to like that in the grappling exchanges and on the ground.
yeah. And I think you can see it. I was, I definitely respected him on the feet, like.
Yeah, you could see it was kind of it looked even enough on the feet even, but it definitely looked like
Yeah,
then when the grappling exchanges were initiated, you were much more comfortable there and much better there.
yeah. I did feel. I certainly did feel comfortable in the grappling, like, yeah.
And so then, how did the signing for Bellator come about?
Okay. The Bellator thing came about because I had the Bray fight. To be honest, like I wouldn't be able to say what month it was. It's like I might let her out. I wouldn't be able to say what month it was then, because I fought in Brave and I can't remember. Was that 2018? 2018, yeah. Was summer 2018. Um, and then I guess towards the end of that year at some point, I got that offer from John, and yeah, that was it. I got the offer. Like then, there was like people were the lads on the team who'd also got the offer were talking about it, and like huge amount of buzz around it. Obviously, we were all delighted. Like I was elated. Like,
Yeah, I'd imagine, and like you said, like getting to fight on those the big atmosphere and the likes you. When you see the atmosphere, the guys like of Peter Queally and that walking out to Zombie and stuff,
yeah,
it must be cool to be a part of those cards.
yeah, definitely, yeah, definitely. Like when Queally walks out, like Queally, Kiefer, James, like when they walk out the arena, it's like even like the likes of Blaine and Will, and like there's big Irish names now. Like those lads are like bringing a lot of names, filling a lot of seats. Like, and it's cool. Like it's like something. It's like witnessing something that like something else to aim for. Like to have like that's what I want next is to have that many people in the arena like there for me. Like
Yeah, yeah, like closer to the main event.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. But even at that, like some of the more main events on them cards, wouldn't like, you've Kiefer like fair, like might not even be like far up the card, but like he still has like everyone on their feet, and like the place goes nuts. Like, um, so yeah,
Yeah, I think sometimes things like that can nearly be. I don't know. Maybe if it kind of seems the way Bellator kind of sometimes mix up their shows, it kind of dictates. They have some of the fights are part of this card, but some of the fights are part of here. So then you can end up with like that a big kind of name and somebody the crowd want to see can be
yeah,
sometimes far down the card. And
yeah. It is. We were wondering why Kiefer was, and why wasn't Kiefer? Because someone pulled out the main event, or so, there was meant to be, what was the main event meant to be last Bellator card? Anyway, we were wondering why Kiefer wasn't in there as that main event slot when whatever fight was pulled. Queally, was it?
I think it was Peter Queally. Yeah,
Yeah. So we were wondering why wasn't Kiefer in there instead of Queally? Same team, close training partners. Like, but look, they have their own reasons for doing everything, and like Kiefer still put on a performance. So.
would you say the plan is to maybe stick with Bellator for a period of time, or would you like to maybe, if the opportunity came to go to the UFC, would you like to try your hand there?
Um, yeah, so I have technically two fights left for Bellator, and I want to fight. I do want to fight for them in Dublin again, for sure. To be honest, I don't know. I mean, it would depend on what offers are there. Like again, I'd be over the moon with an offer from the UFC. Like that'd be amazing. Um, but I'm moving again with Bellator. I'm going to move down to featherweight. So I'd been a lightweight until now, and moved on to featherweight and get two dominant wins now with my last two fights on this contract. And I'd like to resign Bellator. I think like because they're doing regular shows in Dublin, and that's priceless. Like being able to fight up there in the free arena and have my family and friends there supporting me.
Yeah, and in terms of like your maybe training schedule and stuff, how many sessions were you fitting in? Like what is a normal kind of training schedule? I suppose if you're in camp, what would that look like?
Uh, it was looking like generally for the last good while, I guess the year or 2 years, I guess the last year and a half consistently, I've been kind of doing like uh, 3 sessions a day on 3 days. So 3 sessions a day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. 2 sessions on Tuesday and Thursday, and then one really light one on Saturday after work, like which is probably just going to be a rehab session or something like that. So, and I'm kind of at that now here. I'm doing about because I'm doing shorter sessions here. Because I'm training alone, obviously it's harder to be doing like an hour and a half, 2 hours if you've no bodies to move around with. And so I'm doing like hours. I'm just doing 3 hour long sessions a day here. But yeah, in camp, like it's going to be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 3 sessions. Tuesday, Thursday, 2 sessions.
And what sort of a mix kind of does that have then in terms of like MMA to maybe strength and conditioning to anything else?
Yeah, so I'd be doing strength kind of training 3 days a week, and then conditioning 3 days a week, and then the rest is kind of filled in with like doing the sparring sessions with the team, grappling sessions with the team, um, like striking in DCA and stuff like that. So it's like I have like 3 strength and 3 conditioning, and then the rest I'm filling in with um, everything else. But like I kind of use those as my structure, like because I have my strength and conditioning coach Joe Dudley, who I started working with. He's a brother of one of my best friends actually from down here, and he had to like chew my ear to get me to start doing a bit of strength and conditioning, because I was like a couple of years ago I was like, it's not that important for MMA, and like I'd rather spend my time working on technique and all this stuff. And he was like, just give these sessions a go, and I ended up really enjoying them, and and felt like I actually felt a difference when I was sparring, when I was rolling and stuff. Like even little things like he had me training my grip strength, and I felt like after like I guess it was a good year working on it, but like I felt like I could like my grip, like I could just grappling, I could just hold people and stuff like that. Like that's just one example of many things that like it's actually made me realize, okay, that is actually a really important part of like I guess being a professional athlete in any sport. So I use those sessions as like the skeleton of my routine, like because if I miss one of those, it's like I'll tell myself I can miss something else. But like if I'm getting those done, then I'm gonna stick to everything else. I'm gonna get in and get my striking done, my grappling done, stuff like that. Um,
Yeah, would you prefer like that? But would you prefer the MMA training more so to like
yeah,
the strength and condition?
yeah,
Like you kind of
I
have
would
to,
do.
if you can force yourself to get the strength and condition in, then
Yeah,
the rest of the stuff that you enjoy is much easier to go and do and stick to.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. I really do enjoy the strength sessions, like the heavy squatting and deadlifting and stuff. I guess uh, anyone would when you start like anything when you start to see results, because it's cool with that because like you have actual numbers, like, and like month to month you're lifting more and stuff like that. But I know I'm not a power lifter, but like I'd imagine like any combat athlete, like the best, the most enjoyable sessions are sparring sessions, and like live rolling and stuff like that is the most enjoyable part. Like,
And do you think it was important that you got working with a strength coach straight away, as opposed to maybe like doing your own sort of programming and looking after that yourself? Do you feel like a coach makes a big difference?
Definitely. Like even for me, like I don't, I guess like, and any athlete, like anyone, like I don't like to do things like half measures, or I don't like to do things like, I'm not motivated to do something unless I think it's going to work. And like having Joe there, just like to be able to message him or call him and be like, he's going to give me like a solid plan, or he's going to give me a definitive answer. Like I'd be like, oh, will I do this or this? Like I can't, oh, I don't have access to a squat rack today. Whereas if I was on my own, I'd be like wondering, oh, what will I do? He just sends me a message. He's like, do this. And it's like, a voice of reason. It's like, and I trust it and I'm going to do it. Like, and because I trust it, it's going to work. Like I'm going to get results from it. Like, so I think that's important for me. It's like having a nutritionist, like, just having someone like a voice of like a confident person to tell you, no, this is what you should do. And like, I think placebo comes into that a lot as well. It's like you're confident in them, so like them telling you to do it, you're just going to do it and it's going to work. Like,
Yeah, whereas otherwise you're nearly double guessing yourself, and like,
exactly.
Right, am I right? Am I not? Whereas if somebody else is telling you, it's much easier to go, well, yeah,
Exactly.
They know what they're talking about, kind of idea.
Exactly. And there's nothing worse than like when you're mid-session and you're going, oh, like, should I actually be doing this? Is this working? Or should I actually be doing something different? Like, but when a professional has told you, no, this is what you should be doing, like, then you're not gonna, exactly, like you said, you're not gonna second guess it. Like,
and so do you work with a nutritionist then? Because you said your nutrition is on point. So who do you have with your nutrition then?
I work with Alex Neelan, who I got in contact with through my teammate Danny Neelan, who fights for Bellator now. And I always got on really well with Danny, and she went to the IMAAFs as well in Bahrain. And I met Alex there, Alex, her brother, who's a dietitian, like registered dietitian, and I actually already had a nutritionist at the time, but it's kind of similar situation to when I started working with Joe. Like, we were just chatting, and he was like, he wasn't imposing anything on me. He was like, listen, just if you ever have a chat, or you ever need any advice, like want to get a second opinion on anything, just send me a message. And like, I started and like seeing kind of what kind of values he had and stuff. And one thing that I really liked about him straight away was around the kind of similar time I was trying to reduce my animal, like the meat and stuff I was eating. And one thing I liked about Alex was he had no problem with that. Whereas nutritionists before were like, you have to eat meat, like, all this, like, we need protein high and whatnot. Whereas Alex was like, that's grand. And his protein goals for me weren't ridiculously high. They were fairly moderate. And I was like, okay, and I tried the macros that he recommended he recommended macros to me, like how many calories a day, how many fats, proteins, carbs to eat a day. And I found like really good results straight away. I got in really good shape. I lost weight. I got like leaner. I didn't lose any muscle or anything like that. And so that was one thing. It was like, when a nutritionist tells you eat this amount of calories and you do it for 4 weeks and you're losing weight on the scales and you look way better, like, that's a no-brainer. And then the other thing was he was like actively changing my relationship with food. And I think some nutritionists, especially for MMA, could maybe be making their fighters' relationship with food worse, and in a way that like they're kind of ignoring any problems that you have in that sense just to make weight. Whereas Alex is like, okay, well, this is a problem. We need to address this, even though it's going to maybe hinder our results short term. But like, this is a problem that will like, this aspect of your relationship with food is dysfunctional, and we need to fix it and like actively change it. And like, that's priceless to any fighter, because you'll talk to majority of fighters you talk to will have a fucked up relationship with food, and through cutting weight, and like been able to and I'm still, I'm still a work in progress. Like, I still have my as any fighter does, like, but that's another thing I really like about Alex, is like he's actively trying to change that. And like, Yeah, so that's Alex.
And so do you eat meat at all now, or are you gone vegetarian, vegan, or?
I do like I'd eat like generally when I'm in camp I'd eat I wouldn't eat any meat or fish during the week, and I'd eat at the weekend I'd have like sushi usually, or like if I was having I might have ramen and I'd have a bit of pork or something in it. But generally but yeah, I don't eat any meat during the week. And then maybe at the weekend like sushi or something. And yeah, and like I've no bother hitting. I know a lot of people um think it's not the best for athletes, but then again, different body types suits me perfectly. And also, I think a lot of people are doing it and not tracking their macros. And I found at times I've done it and not tracked my macros, I felt like it didn't feel right. But the last time when I started last time, which was well over a year ago, I started to track my macros. I was with Alex, and he was like, and I was making sure I hit my protein, and it was perfect, worked perfectly.
Yeah. So has that had an impact on your decision to drop down from lightweight to featherweight, or is that more so just
Um,
like a physical thing? You think you could perform better at featherweight?
well, it's more because even I can't remember when I cut out. I cut out meat, I think, shortly before, maybe like 6 or 8 months before, 6 months, I'd say, before my Bellator debut. And for both my Bellator fights, I made lightweight real easy, um, and so it's more because of that. Like I guess I felt like the two boys I fought were physically bigger than me in the cage, and they were. Like Chris Duncan, I remember, was like, I spoke to him after. He was like, I think he said he was like over 80 kilos when he woke up fight morning, and I was well under 80,
Yeah.
And then Akon obviously is a big boy, and just based on how easy I was making lightweight, I knew that I could. It was like after my last loss, I really started to think like, what are the sacrifices I'm not making? Like how could I push more? And that was kind of one thing that stood out. It was like, well, I actually make lightweight easy enough. Like obviously months of dedication on my diet, but then it's like I could have that last push in fight week, and I would make featherweight, and then I'd have that extra edge in the cage.
Yeah. Do you feel then you'd be one of the bigger guys at featherweight when you drop down?
I think so, yeah, or at least just be fighting lads my size. There's going to be other featherweights cutting from my size, but I'm not going to be facing anyone as big as Akon or Chris Duncan.
Yeah, it's I suppose as well. Then it's good though that you have like you said, your nutritionist put in maybe the good relationships with food and built in some good habits before before you decide to drop down a weight class.
Exactly, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and do you feel around the gym like you said having so many guys from the gym competing on maybe the same Bellator card and even just other cards? Do you feel like having so many top guys around the gym is a help?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, definitely. I think like always having training partners that are like uh, below you and with you and above you in their abilities is always really important. So in terms of actual uh, improvements in terms of training, that's a big thing. You're going with bodies who are gonna be like on the offensive and like pushing you and making you defend and work out of horrible positions. But then also like the fact that like, yeah, the big names, like they're some stars of MMA like in on the team, and that's also very motivating. Like seeing them bringing in the teams of cameramen like to do like promo videos for them and stuff like that. Like that's yeah, it's motivating definitely.
So like because the gym is obviously has so many members, what's the kind of setup then? Would you have kind of for sparring? Is it everybody kind of there's a sparring day, or is it kind of maybe staggered? Maybe we have the smaller guys to the heavier guys, or
Um, definitely kind of size related. Within the sessions, it'd be kind of broken up like that, and we'd have we'd have every day a sparring session with our team. With the whole team would come along, and that'd be like every day at midday. I won't give like too many details about it, but yeah, like so I train with the team with like most of the lads on the team on a daily basis, and it would be like different like sparring, but like with like slightly different kind of scenarios, we'll say,
Yeah.
on each day. Like it's not just like me here and my partner here and just sparring. It's like there's certain conditions placed on a particular day, say. And then also we generally do 1 or 2 like spars in the cage a week, full MMA spars, just 3-5s, like whatever we're doing, 5-5s, or amateurs we do 3-3s.
Yeah, do you find it then that just that repetition of, you know, regularly feeling going the distance, that helps your conditioning as much as anything else?
Definitely, yeah, definitely does. I don't think I think that's irreplaceable. That like, you know, that sparring cardio. Like if you're to do anything, I guess it should be that. Like, if anything, the other conditioning, the strength training I do, just complements it.
Would you say kind of, maybe you said your first introduction to MMA was kind of was playing the PlayStation and playing a video game,
Yeah.
and has so far has a pro MMA career been what you thought it would be from playing the PlayStation?
um, do you know what? Back then, when I was 15 and I was watching the videos and whatnot, like, because I guess at that time, it was more like just like they were professional athletes, obviously, but they weren't like, they weren't like the level they're at now. Like I think they were closer to lads just getting in and like scrapping each other, and like I'd be very surprised if many of them were like even training at the same level with the same like at the same kind of with the same precision and everything that even some of the amateurs are now. Like,
Yeah.
like I'd be surprised if they were weighing their food and like counting their calories and like, you know, monitoring like their heart rate during cardio sessions and like this and that and whatever. But no, I didn't think it'd be like this. I didn't think I'd ever like be like training at this level. I guess like I never really kind of thought too much into how any professional athlete trained. But no, like looking at them boys like back then, I thought just 2 lads that just got in and like fought each other, like did a bit of training and just got in and fought each other.
Yeah, and so the first time you turned up at the gym, the city center gym, did you know, like, yeah, this is what I was looking for?
Um, I guess, I guess, do you know what? I guess it was what I was looking for, because just based on how quickly like I immersed myself in the world and like, it's like first year of college when like everyone, everyone else in my year and like all my friends who went off to whatever college they went off to were like partying and like all this stuff, and I was just like in the gym, and like before, I was in there every day before long, and then soon I was in there like before college and after college. So I guess based on just how quickly I was like drawn to it, it probably was exactly what I was looking for at the time. Less so than even than being in college. Like I think that's really what I wanted. But I remember the first day walking in, I remember talking to Stephen, like my coach back then, Stephen King, and like I remember first day walking in, like I didn't walk in and go like, oh, I'm gonna fight in the cage. I remember thinking I probably won't ever fight in the cage, like, but I just want to do this because it's something I've always wanted to do. Like,
And now here you are with a pro career in
yeah, yeah,
it. It sometimes it can take you on a strange journey that you maybe didn't expect when you started.
yeah,
Yeah, like I know, like the reason I nearly started martial arts, and a lot of people who else have been kind of on, is who would have started at a young age, said they wanted to just be, you know, a Power Ranger, a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, that kind of
yeah,
stuff. And now it's taken them on a journey like that,
yeah,
that you don't really see yourself going on when you start. So like that you kind of maybe came from the video game. I want a bit of that to, you know, a pro career.
yeah, exactly, yeah. And I think like have so many people start for so many different reasons, but I'd imagine like, because like along with that and seeing the video game and stuff like that, and like I guess I'd always wanted to be someone who could fight, like not even in a professional, like in an MMA situation or whatever, but like, I'd always like thought I wanted to be someone who could like handle themselves in like if there was an altercation or something like that. I wanted to be like someone who could, and like so that those are the reasons I started. But then I guess like most people, they have their reasons for starting, but then it's just they realize it's actually so much deeper than that, like
Yeah, I
to
suppose
them, like
there's maybe the reason you started and then the reason you stayed.
exactly, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So just before we finish up, if you had to pick a favorite fighter to watch, who would you pick?
Oh, I mean, I'm gonna have to say, because like when I was getting into it, or when I got into it, like Forrest Griffin for me was like the man, like but now it's hard to say. I don't really watch many fights, um, but at the moment I'm kind of out of anyone. I'm really enjoying watching Israel Adesanya.
Yeah, he'd be my favorite fighter at the moment.
Right?
I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's something special to watch, even not to, like, even when you go back and watch his kickboxing fights. He's somebody I really enjoy to watch as well. So yeah, I
Yeah.
suppose two good picks, and OG of the sport there. One that
Yeah.
somebody hasn't said him yet, so that's why I ask. I like to see what do people come up with, and
Yeah.
Forrest Griffin is one that people haven't said. So
Yeah. And as like in terms of like for me, he's like kind of the longest I've ever gone. Like, he's my favorite fighter. Like his picture is still on my wall, and I have read his book and everything. Like, but like kind of since I got into it, I guess I've kind of been less of an MMA fan. So it's just
maybe
kind of like at the moment I like watching Israel Adesanya, but like I'd kind of just maybe like enjoy different fighters from time to time. But yeah,
yeah. Do you feel you nearly you watch it from a different point of view now, more so than you would have back then? Like you kind of watch the fights with a little bit of a different head on.
definitely, yeah, definitely, yeah.
Um, so yeah, look, I think we'll actually finish there. I really enjoyed the chat. It was good to
Yeah.
chat to a fellow Clareman and hear your story, and hear hopefully you get back into the winning column when we get back to proper training and stuff.
Thank you, man. Thanks for reaching out.
Lovely stuff. So stay safe and all the best.
Thanks, bro.